Hi, everybody.
Hi,
I'm Laura.
I'm Rubina. Welcome to Echoes and Embers.
This is our space where
It's your
we
space.
where we share our soulful banter that meets the elements of life. With each week, we gather with one element and explore the spark it ignites within us, around us, and between us.
And together we are reflecting on the elemental influence and the way it shapes our path. So today in chapter 3, we are within the air realm, touching on
Mm,
identity.
yes. Before we open this episode, we are going to cleanse our space. Grab a little Palo Santo.
Palo Santo, baby. Palo Santo. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. With this flame, we honor the fire within and around us.
And with this smoke, we cleanse the space of what no longer serves.
May what is heavy be released.
What is true be revealed.
May the embers of this moment guide us.
Let us
Let's
begin.
begin. Begin.
Beginning.
So, when we explore the identity through the element of air, we begin to see how the self becomes visible and understood through thought, words, and relationships. Identity is constructive, shifting, perspective, expressive, and protective all at once. It is something we build in layers through our communities, our choices, and the trial and error that shapes us. It shifts, sometimes unsettlingly, yet necessarily, reminding us that who we are is never fixed but responsive to growth and change. Air energy brings awareness, showing how identity is mirrored back to us through groups and relationships. Once you perceive yourself clearly, you cannot return to an older version of you. Identity also calls for expression, where values crystalline into lifestyle, art, words, and even the way you carry yourself. And while identity shifts, there is always the need to protect its core, to safeguard the essence of who you truly are. This connects to the truth that while the outer layers evolve, your soul's center remains steady, unchanging even as the costumes change. All right, I like that. I
Yeah.
feel like that gives a good understanding that we go through so many things that your core is still you, no matter what costume you're putting on, what face you're wearing, how much makeup, how much hairspray is in your hair, what outfit you wore last season and bring it into this season. It's all centered around your core.
Yeah, I agree.
This So this week we are going to be holding space for Rubina to share a deeper perspective on her journey of identity she has experienced and how much, like the element of air, identity moves, expands, and reshapes itself through thought, expression, and connection.
So there is a
Yay!
lot to touch on. There's a lot to touch on with this topic. Um, as she so eloquently put, that identity really is a shifting, a shapeshifter. It's a form of expression. It's how you protect who you are. It's like the armor that you build around yourself. And I really do believe that throughout your life, you're learning and discovering who you are underneath all of those costumes that you put on, or you know uh, things that you wear. And I think this is also very like, um, this is shown a lot in media that we watch, how you watch shows on how people's identity is like tested through hard times or some like pivotal moment for a main character, side character, whatever it is, and they ultimately end up changed. And I think um, that is, something that we should be proactive in our lives, and it should be a practice. Uh, it should be a practice that we are continuously acknowledging because, like you said, like identities, they shift. It's a form of expression, and as we get older, we're supposed to evolve. So if we're staying in one skin and we choose certain attributes of us which we're determining is a value of ours, but in reality it's just uh, a trait or something that we're clinging to and won't let go of, it can make life, I think, difficult. But like I said, there's a lot of things to touch on. um, I do think that identities, in a way, are meant to protect who you are, the essence of who you are,
Hmm.
and navigate certain stages of your life and environments that you're in and people that you know that you've either inherited or um, are put into by like circumstance. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I think having different shapes and costumes and rhythms and rhymes isn't a bad thing. You know,
No,
it's
I
not a
think
bad thing.
like it allows you to learn and empathize with other human beings
For sure.
when you're actually like embodying different lifestyles and being open to different things. You build a depth that um, you build a depth that you can like
Yeah.
connect with other people.
Yeah. And I think more of a core
um,
as well.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
how do you understand identity to be constructed?
um, Well, if identity is the ability to for self to like be visible and understood through like thoughts, words, and relationships, then you craft who you are based on all that's within you and around you. So, when you're a kid and you're paying attention to who you are inside, and then it's coming up against what your parents are telling you, what you're learning in school, the friends that you have. And I feel like, especially as a young kid, you're at a like constant odds, and you feel it more as you grow up and you're in adolescence and like as a young adult and you're faced with all these different challenges. But um, I think acknowledging like that, the fact that you have a choice, the earlier that you can do that, the earlier you can shape who you are, and um, choosing which identities to like lean into. And when I say identities, I mean like, okay, there's always on TV, for example, you're always going to see like there's the cool kid, the geek, the jock, the this, the that. Like you wear different suits, and having the courage to try different elements on is like building that autonomy. And it's how you end up constructing who you are by like the essence that navigates it. And your power in discernment and like alchemizing that inner and outer world create that ever evolving experience. So, like what I just said, right? There's that. It's almost like your body is like the filter, and what you're feeling and thinking inside coming up against what's on the outer world is that real time, moment to moment opportunity to construct who you are. Um, and that's why I really do think that like identities can change often in life as you learn who you are in essence. And when I say like in essence, you know, do you have like that innate pull for mischief, or like are you somebody that doesn't want to let somebody down or go against the status quo, and like you evolve from there through those choices. Um, but ultimately, you're the creator of self. Like, I don't think that you inherit a set you inherit who you are based on like somebody's telling you what you should grow up to be, or that you're my daughter or son and this is how we are because you know your ancestors were like this too, or you know identity is, I think, synonymous right now with like just categorizing yourself and picking a box that you fit cleanly into or you feel more comfortable with. um, but like being a co-creator in it rather than just receiving because you are not sure of yourself or have the confidence to be autonomous is something that everybody, I feel like, is like a common theme in like the times, or at least like this generation that's I'm a part of and the ones coming after.
Hmm.
That was a really long-winded answer.
No, but it was key though. Like I think, we all think that we have to be somebody to identify as somebody, and that's not true. Like you got to identify as yourself first, and then you can fit in so many boxes, you can fit in with so many different groups. Like you don't have to be one or the other. Like, I think a blended person is a more well-balanced person.
Yeah,
Blended as in, you can fit in this social group over here that likes to go out and gather and do the yoga and active and the drinking and the bar hopping and the restaurants, the foodie style. And then you can have your down to earth people over here that just like to kumbaya and do the yoga. Like both of those things I
yeah,
enjoy.
me
It's like,
too.
what
And
mood am I in, essentially?
yeah, and I do think probably the reason why we have all these archetypes of like, I guess is the word, right? Archetypes, identities of people is they're just exaggerated examples. Like, but we're multifaceted beings and we can participate in all of them. And it doesn't have to be like your typecast for this moment in your life. Like, but that's how it ends up playing out for a lot of people. I mean, I've experienced that too. Like, and that kind of goes into like shifting. So,
Hmm. Well, then I guess that brings me into my next question. What does it mean for identity to be shifting?
so I mean, I've gone through a lot of different lifestyles and experiences. Like she knows this. I've been many different people with many different hats. I've dated a wide range of people. But through all of that, I've really discovered like who I am, and like I fully take on whatever chapter I'm in. So I become what I believe in the moment. It's, the core of a decision at the center of it. There's different times where I kind of latch to a mission. So there was one mission where I'm like, I want to learn to trust myself more. And then I thrust myself into this adventure that led to me being across the country and complete instability. And the whole point of that was to, um, be able to trust myself, my intuition. I was wanted to make decisions based on just me, not what other people were saying, the opinions of others, or what they think I should be doing, or even what trust means to them. And in that, I was like, I was a woo woo hippie kind of going with the wind. But I fully embodied it. Like I let that carry me across the country. And I
Mm.
knew other people like that and met people along the way. There's other times where I wanted to be more in touch with my spirituality. So I was somebody that participated in, this super deep yoga community. And I learned a lot through there, and I learned um, about what going deep on one side can do to people's perceptions of others and why I wanted to get out of that. I read on different spiritualities, incorporated different practices, and then there's other things like, when it comes down to career, and I've had different career shifts too, but I wanted to be more in touch with like the side of, um, growing what nourishes us. So I became a farmer. And
Good
like
times.
those are great times, right? And
Yeah, I
those are
love those
all,
times.
yeah,
I
those are
got free
all things of like,
microgreens.
we got free microgreens. We were
Ate that shit on
bartering.
everything.
We
The
did
dog was
bartering
eating them.
old
We were eating
school.
them.
Yeah. He was eating them. He was having some seriously lush meals. Like, I'm sure I
Yeah.
added like years to his life with
Uh-huh.
those microgreens. Um, but for me, like shifting identities is just by is choice. Like I said earlier, it's co-creating. So you're choosing to be. For me, it was choosing through missions. Like I wanted to be authentic. I wanted to trust myself. I wanted to be more in touch with myself spiritually. And these are like essence drivers, I think, more than like, oh, I want to be a fashionista. Like I never really was drawn to like, I don't know, just buying
The
clothes or
materialistic.
whatever. Yeah, and that's not saying if you are that's a bad thing. Like that
No.
puts people in skill sets that like you could probably become the next like top designer of our era. Like that's not a bad thing to go in those directions, but for me as a person, I'm going in directions of like what is my essence driving me towards, and how am I shifting an identity to develop those under of those truths for myself. um and then it's just like growth. Personally, growth has always been like one of my main drivers, so I've wanted to grow who I am as a person. And I didn't want it based on like an astrological subset, because I'm very into astrology. This is a template of how I am able to navigate and view my life. I always take things with a grain of salt, but I've been studying it basically since I was 13. So if you wow, that's a long time. That's like almost 20
Yeah.
years I've been literally reading into astrology and how it impacts my life. That's kind of crazy to think about. Um, or
Yeah.
aside from that, I didn't want to be told who I was. Reading that, oh, you're a Taurus, you're materialistic and stubborn. Reading that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to challenge that, and I'm not going to become that. So that's another way of co-creating my identity, because I'm not going to be told that that's what I am. I'm not going to be told I'm this way because I'm my mother's or father's daughter. I'm not going to do this because my teacher said I could or couldn't do it. Um, yeah, but embodying one identity and deciding that's who you are can be easy and comfortable for a time. So I understand how that's something that's natural to people. You decide who you are, and then you stick to it because you don't have to think about anything else. But I think ultimately we're meant to like evolve and to change. So
Mm-hmm.
you know you don't have to
I
double
mean,
down on it.
from the dawn of time, look at it. If
Yeah.
that caveman would have stayed in that cave, like, would we all be here? Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Or trying to make friends with the other caveman that doesn't look like us and is actually a different evolution. Maybe we wouldn't be sitting here talking on a podcast. Like,
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'd be talking without our mouths. I don't know. Like telepathy.
I like telepathy. That would be, I was actually, this is a whole different thread of thought, but I really do think resonance and energy and telepathy is like the direction that we're going to be heading in terms of language,
Bro,
far into the future, if humankind makes it that far.
oh, it is already like on its way, and especially with like interpersonal relationships. Like when you and I were kicking it, like it was a thing. And prior to you and I kicking it
Yeah,
like that, my brother Blake and I, like, there would just be times where we didn't say shit, but we would hear each other's voices in our heads and be like, what'd you just say? And like, it was just, that was like early 2020 or 2012, 2013, like when that major shift first hit, the first like awakening crowd, so they say, kind of thing. Like
yeah,
he and I were on the front lines of that wave. But telepathy is a real ass thing. Like I'm sure
that's real.
you and your partner experience it, and then there's times where Zach and I are like, oh yeah. So sorry, that is
Yeah,
so off topic, but it's actually an exciting
no,
topic that we should totally talk about in the future.
I think so too. We could probably put that. I mean, we brought it up in air. I think that makes sense as like an air topic.
It
Telepathy.
for
It's
sure
coming soon,
does.
people. Tune in.
It is. Tune in.
Telepathy. Tune in, baby. No,
Yeah.
that's real. Yeah. And we're gonna have to chat about this off air as well because I have things to say. But but yeah.
Well, what has been the hardest part for you in changing identities or lifestyles, like especially when those shifts touched on parts of yourself that others close to you might have seen as absurd or harmful or just unfair or
So
abrasive?
there
Sorry.
no, you're good. There are a lot of different examples of this because especially like junior high, high school, college. I mean, I feel like anybody could say that.
Yeah, for sure.
Excuse me, but one example was because we touched on how identity is, constructed and it's um, based on perception of self and how others see you, how you're being mirrored back by other people. So when I was young, I got one of my first jobs outside of like my mom's cleaning company. When I was 16, I got a job at this pizza place, and I never worked. I never it was my first job. I never worked anywhere else before, and I can be a hot-headed, abrasive, uh, temperamental,
No.
emotional being. Swear.
No.
Very much so. And so I was getting frustrated because I'm working hard. I'm doing what I'm being asked to do. I am making pizzas better than everybody else in the line, is like how I'm seeing it. And everybody else is just fucking off. And it's making me mad. And we're not as efficient on the line because whatever. So I'm pissed off and I'm folding pizza boxes and I'm like kind of throwing them at the wall. And like I'm just like like in a zone, like mad. And this was like kind of a bit of a pattern when I would get frustrated at work. So my manager pulls me outside and he goes, "You can't act like this, okay?" Like I was visibly upset about something. Maybe something outside was affecting me and exaggerating it. But he was said to me, and I'm glad that he did because it changed the trajectory for a lot. And he's like, "You can't act like this. You're going to end up losing this job and you're not going to be able to succeed at other ones." And you know how hard that is to hear from somebody when you're like 16 years old and you're embarrassed about being called out and it makes you want to cry and you don't want to cry in front of your manager and you're just standing there
Yep.
and you're just taking it and you're like,
Yep.
yeah, that's hard. Those are hard things to face. And
Mm-hmm.
but the point is that you have to take it because, it doesn't mean that he's being an asshole to you. He's just telling you what's up and he's telling you reality. So as he's telling me this, I'm feeling guilt, shame, I'm embarrassed. He's like, "What do you want to do? You want to go back in there? You can go back in there, but you can't act like that. Or you can go home. If you want to go home right now, we'll do that. We can start new on your next shift." And I was like, "No, I'll go back inside." He's like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I'll go back inside." He's like, "All right, just take a deep breath, drink some water, go back in there and just do it." And I said, "Okay." So I did. And I started paying attention to myself a lot more. And I was being aware of like when I was getting upset or emotional, like I had to start figuring out like how to rein it in and without like just suppressing it. And that's a whole nother topic of like emotional regulation and all this other stuff. But he was seeing me a certain way. It was affecting everybody else. He told me about it and I changed that thing. Another example is like, you're hanging out with your friends. This happens when you're young. I'm pretty sure a lot of people experience this when their parents get upset with them about, you act different with your friends than when they're here versus when you're not. Like you're a different person. And that always bothered me a
Mm-hmm.
lot. Like I would get upset about that. And that was one hard thing about um, just initial understanding and perception of self that like triggered change later. But I would be like, "Why did you say that? Like, can you even give me an example of like what that is?" She's like, "I don't know, you just different." And so I started paying attention to it. And I'm like, "Okay, well, what does it mean? What does it mean when I'm with my mom or my parents, right? what does it mean when I'm with my friends? So I was like self-reflecting as I'm with these two different, you know, groups of people. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to be somebody that's different here or there. I genuinely want to just be somebody that I can like be myself all the time, which can be hard because when you're trying to figure out who you are as a young kid, you don't even know how to act. And then when somebody's telling you you're being weird, it makes you feel weird. So that
Yeah.
was difficult, you know? But all the while, I was being vocal about it. And that's what can be hard, I think, when you're, especially when you're young. That's a challenge. And, you know, but as I got older, like those points in time were really kind of a trigger of discernment in the realm of like friends and family. So I could really like hone in on what I felt was authentic to me. So I wasn't just deciding, and I was never really like a cliquey person at school. I kind of was a lone wolf that floated between different crowds anyway. Like, you know, I had a friend here, a friend there, and they weren't part of the same subgroup. So,
Were you ever called a poser between groups of friends? I feel like that in our generation was a big word people threw around a lot if you weren't just like in one clique.
you know, no, I've never, I'm glad I didn't because that would have wrecked me. But like, no, I was
Aw.
never called a, yeah, I was never called a poser. I think what happened more often than not was people, every time I ended up becoming friends with somebody, they assumed that I was a part of a different group, like just part, like a core part of the group, and they found it surprising when I ended up being friends with them. Whether it was like, you know, my friends in high school, where there was like, you know, whether I was in the DECA club or I was hanging out with people I would in my study groups,
What the
or
hell's a
just people
Deca
that I would
club?
hang out up. It's a club for like um, entrepreneurship, business and
Oh, okay.
entrepreneurship. Yeah, where you kind of
Always
like
been about that
you're.
business, eh?
I sure have. It was it was cool. We would do competitions and stuff. I skipped my junior prom to go to a DECA competition in Florida.
Oh, that's interesting.
Um, yeah, well, I got invited to go to like international competition, which was really cool. I didn't win anything there, but it was a cool experience to go.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. My mom brought me to a high school that had a lot more options that I would have went to if I stayed in my original neighborhood. So I'm grateful for that. Shout out to you, Mom. Appreciate you.
All right,
Change is
mama.
good, people. Trust your
Yeah.
parents.
So, yep, yep. This
But
leads
yeah, I
me
feel
to a different question that we don't have on our topic, but like, so you
okay.
had touched base on like your mom seeing all these different varieties basically of you, and it's just so interesting to have like the parent who just watches all these phases of who you are. And I mean, how is that for you, or how do you think? I mean,
I think so. At first, like, I feel like it caused a sense of like a distrust in me. That at least this is how I'm perceiving it. Like how it affected me was my mom seeing me go through all these different changes and like who I am and what I'm doing. I think she just really saw me as like, oh, she's going through a phase and it'll just kind of go away, and I'm not going to like endeavor too much into it initially. You know what I'm saying? Like in the earlier years. Or she would just kind of be like, whatever, like I know you're cool, you don't have to prove that you're cool by trying all these different things. Like she's always thoroughly believed in me, and like,
yeah,
I mean, you know, moms always do. Like they, I mean,
our biggest
I can't
cheerleaders,
generalize. Our biggest cheerleaders, exactly.
at least for
She's like,
us.
yeah, yeah. She's like, you're the it girl. Like you don't even have to worry about like this, that, or the other. You don't even have to try on that suit, like whatever. But I'm like, no, I need to experience
Yeah.
like what this is. And so before she used to brush stuff off, which was, it made me feel a type of way because I'm really trying. And then like later on, you know, I think she really began to understand that the way that I understand life is through lived experiences of like embodying certain things. And she became very supportive as she can be in any of these, as long as I wasn't threatening like my I wasn't like putting myself in danger, which I have, and like I've done all kinds of kind of crazy shit, but um
Yeah, those 20s, you
she
know.
just trusted it eventually. Yeah,
The
those 20s,
20 the
man.
20s were the adventurous years, and both moms
Yeah,
were probably like, what the hell?
what are you doing? No, but she ultimately has, been supportive. And now when like I look back on it, we even talk about it like now, because I was telling her about this episode and what it was going to be. She's like, "Oh my God, you've gone through so many different changes. Like you can definitely speak to that topic." And like I said, there's so many things to cover. Like I can't even get into how many stories I have, but
Well, it's just really
um
cool to have that experience with her, and for her to still just like unconditionally love you through all of that, you know, and be supportive. Even if some of those phases she may have
yeah.
rolled her eyes or just been like, okay, whatever. But like,
Yeah.
it was a very similar relationship with my mom and I, like the eye rolling or just the okay, be safe, you dumbass kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm glad I did it
But it's
early
cool.
too, because I did that at a starting at a young age, and I'm glad that she was able to be fluid with me like through it all.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it's probably made your relationship with her stronger now and more trusting, essentially. Because
Yeah,
I feel like I was much more receptive later in life with what my mom or even my dad had to say to me about, things that I am and do and whatever. And I received that information a lot easier and smoother. Besides just being a young, rebellious kid figuring it out, I had some experience
yeah,
in my belt and ready to, you know, so.
yeah. It's true. Plus, it's like they've seen you through all of it, so they
Hmm.
can see threads of you that you still might not be able to see yourself because it's you. Like you're
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
yourself. You need other people.
Yeah, I think the mirror reflection that we utilize through seeing other people, which is actually something that I learned you taught me about, is utilizing people as a mirror and reflection of, being able to see aspects of yourself and like definitely opened up my perspective in that aspect. But
Mirrors. It's true. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
it's cool, and it makes you like more compassionate towards other people because if you see a little bit, it's that's all you need, and you see the same like it's we all are a fucking human being with a soul,
Yeah.
so gives you a lot more compassion and love for people depending on whatever group box costume you're in that day. Shit, I
Yeah.
mean, day to day it's based on my mood sometimes, you know what I'm saying, like it just
It's
am I
true.
feeling fussy or happy, like what's up.
Am I feeling fussy?
All right, Ruby. If identity is something we can alter in stages, what would you say to someone who feels afraid of losing themselves in the process of transformation?
What would I say to someone who feels afraid of losing themselves? I think it's important to remember that so long as you trust your intuition, that you're making choices for the betterment of self, and you are indulging in curiosity that doesn't endanger you or people around you,
Mm-hmm.
that you're not going to lose yourself
Yeah.
along the way. I genuinely, full heartedly believe that you actually discover more of yourself when you dive into the unknown, um, and try to transform. Like how I've heard a lot lately is like the process of like you're evolving is essentially unlearning things about yourself, unlearning habits, unlearning conditioning that you've been inherited or impressed upon or given based on your environments. You're unlearning these things. So you are not going to lose yourself because you are always there. You're ever present. It's really just getting rid of the stuff that actually doesn't fit you and was never for you to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, it's like, okay, so what you'll do is you'll lose like frameworks that don't fit you anymore, that are no longer serving of you, of who you're growing into. And the resilience of the frameworks that you have are going to show you, do they stand the test of time? The frameworks being like friend groups, habits, or they're all going to be tested when you alter and shift. If they fall away, or if they start to tell you like you're wrong for this, or this isn't who you are, I don't know you anymore, and they're not willing to uh, see other facets of you, is is that really something that you want to carry into this next evolution? You don't have to fear, like, you don't have to fear losing those things, because I don't think that they're meant for you if they're going to scratch and degrade you down as you're trying to like become the butterfly that you are. And you want to take with you things that lift you up through that, and that help you through the fear of the unknown, not cause the fear.
Yeah.
So, what I have found uh, makes it easier for me is deciding on a mission of self. Like I brought up earlier, right? I wanted to be able to trust myself. I felt like I didn't trust my decisions. So I made that a mission. And then I started making decisions or putting myself in scenarios that tested my trust in myself. Um, you know, I wanted to be more in touch with myself. So I did different practices that put me more in touch with my spirituality. And then all the friend groups along the way, or the things that you're doing, if it's not aligned with that mission anymore, they'll fall away, or they'll just kind of take a back seat, and then they'll pop up in the front when you have more time to like focus on them. Like certain friends, they'll be like, you know what, I know you're going through this thing. I'm hanging 10 in the back over here. I got some other things I'm going to focus on, but you got me the whole ride through. Like, okay, that's different. But yeah, you're not going to lose yourself. You'll just discover more of who you are.
It's okay if there's a hell, there's okay if it's infinite. It's okay if you like a little bit of everything. If you want to be a little
Yeah,
bit of everything, as long as I mean, please don't be a killer or a rapist, you know what I'm saying? But
exactly. That's why it's like, as long as it doesn't endanger you and other people around you,
yeah, like it's,
like,
I think, healthy to, explore. And I think that's okay. I think we get told that it's not okay, and it is okay.
yeah, yeah,
So I do have a final question for you. We do kind of need to hit our wrap up goal time frame, but I
yeah.
I know you're an astrology follower, and we've got a, I just know in astrology, Uranus has shifted for you recently. Uranus, sorry,
It
I
has.
just
It's
thought of
shifted
like
for everybody,
Uranus.
Uranus.
Sorry, that's not. I, I I'm a goofy person. Sorry. Uranus has shifted into Gemini in your 12th house. How has the focus of identity work changed for you, and what does this new chapter feel like compared to last? So, another
So,
question to feed into that one, though,
yeah.
is this like just a recent shift astrologically for you, like within the last couple of weeks, month, or has this just been the year 2025 for you?
So in there's a lot of different transits that happen in astrology, right? Uranus is actually a more of a generational planet, because it takes much longer for it to shift signs and houses than other planets like um, you know the Mars or Mercury or Venus, because those are more personality planets because of how fast they rotate around the sun. But Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, those are all generational. So it takes 8 years for Uranus to shift signs. So it's more of a collective shift where this everybody feels this,
So wait, is
but it
this is
happens
this a sign that has shifted in everybody's 12th house, or just yours
for
specifically with the
me.
way? Okay.
Yeah, for me in my chart, it's shifting into my 12th house. For other people, depending on what your rising sign is and what house it sits in, um, or what your rising sign is, it will change. So for me, over the last 8 years, so this shift happened in July. I forget the specific day, but it happened in July,
Oh wait, I
and
remember you talking about like leading up to like the end of June, July, and like it just being like a super shift like that we're going through right now, and like basically, okay, sorry, pieces are coming back to me now.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Please explain.
Yeah, so Uranus is like it symbolizes like sudden changes, rebellion, like upheavals, disruptions, innovations, right? So when I was reading about this as it was happening and reflecting, and it was brought up to me, big shout out to Chani Nichols. If you like astrology and you don't know about her, this is where I like to listen to astrological things. She was talking about this shift happening, and the reflection point was how, for me, in it was happening. It was placed in my 11th house for the last 8 years, and 11th house is about community, groups, friends, like your local, what surrounds you, like the groups that you're a part of. And it was, um you know I was going through a lot of sudden changes in that way. I had a if I reflect on the last 8 years of my life, I've had a lot of different groups that I've been a part of, states that I've lived in, jobs that I've held, people that I've met. And it was like, it was sudden, like they're just quick, disrupted changes.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's moving into, it moved into my 12th house. And this is where it'll be for the next 8 years till 2033. And the 12th house is like your hidden themes, your subconscious, the solitude, your spirituality, like, collective unconscious endings, right? So, like, at the beginning of our podcast, I was really getting into dream work. And if you think about the timeline, that was like what, end of May,
Mm-hmm.
ramping up into, July, where it was almost like I was getting a peek into what was about to change. And now I have way more, you know, I feel like I'm very much connected to like my dream state. And a lot of the changes that I'm experiencing or realizations are happening from me being with myself. So as we've talked about, this is kind of getting long winded, but as we were talking about how we see ourselves through other people, and like those are the mirrors for which we learn ourselves. That has been a big highlight for me in the last 8 years specifically. And now it's all going to be happening within. I'll have sudden disruptions and understandings within my solitude from my own sense of self and spirituality through my own unconscious world. Um, so in essence, you could say like this is my identity through like inner liberation chapter, which is
Mm.
fucking prime, baby,
Yeah, hell
because
yeah. Especially prime for the
that's
early 30s. Yeah, I like that. I
I'm
like the way that
psyched.
I like well that sounds.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
dude, and
it's
then
super
it
exciting.
seriously matches up with exactly what everybody almost needs to like reality check. And that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time, but it's right on time, is all I can say.
Yeah,
And I hope
yeah,
that there's a lot of people that really need that get that. That's all I can
I
say
do
for now.
too. I do too. I don't know how many other people are going to be experiencing this in the world in their 12th house, but baby, let's go,
But
because what
I
truth
hope I
remains.
really hope it's a really like one of those things that can like, because there's a lot of collective shifts that happen, and I hope that there is a collective shift on some coordination of this, because it's, I think, a really important time, like this topic that we're talking about today, like identity and going through the who's and the hays and the identification of who you are. Like, people need to realize just because you're this side doesn't mean you need to like hold a grudge to anybody that's not there. And I think it's really important to understand the ebb and flow of life, and especially with yourself and others. And it's an important topic, and it's an important time in the world, essentially, for this kind of understanding and this knowledge. And I do feel like this episode is actually really important, and I hope that it finds the right people to help shift some perspective and understanding. Got chills saying that
Yeah,
down my spine and my legs. So maybe there's some truth, and that'd be cool.
that's good.
And that's
That
also
means
with love and compassion. We both want people to just come together, and community is a huge thing for both of us, and like,
mhm.
and just peace.
I mean, that was our I feel like our whole mission when we first became friends was like where's the tribe? You
Yeah,
know,
for
like
sure.
who's the tribe, who's our community. And I know people are always looking for that sense of it. And I mean, this is a conversation that so many people are having when you talk about like social media communities and families and the community. Like, I mean, it's just an ongoing conversation. But
Yeah.
um,
It's something we're
you
definitely
know,
going to have to get more topic on because I feel like there's a lot to be said there. So
yeah,
we'll talk about that and brainstorm on what chapter that's going to fit in next. But I think that's going to be an important next topic to really talk about and dive deeper into. Um,
yeah.
well, is there any closing thoughts you have for your identity episode, Ruby?
Closing thoughts.
We are going to close with a cool ass meditation that Ruby
Yeah,
did this morning that I thought she thought would be fitting for the ending and closing of our episode. Um,
yeah, yeah. It really
so
like woke me up today.
yeah, so whenever you're ready to begin that, Ruby, we can begin that, or if you have something final to say.
I guess
Um,
the final thing that I'll say really is or just even a wrap up, the main thing to take away is like you're not going to lose yourself. It'll feel like shaky when you're transforming, and you'll feel a sense of void because you're making space for something new.
mhm.
But don't let that scare you.
Yeah,
You know,
take it from two
get comfortable
people.
with
Take
it.
it from two people that are willing to close a new door, so another one will open. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so appropriate for this eclipse season, might I add.
Oh yeah, dude, we're in the prime of it too, so it's so wild. Like,
Yeah.
um, I'm not a big astrology person, but I get my 411 from Rubina here. But damn, do I feel that shit. Like, I'm fucking exhausted this week. And I'm like, why? I'm sleeping. I'm doing the things. I'm eating good. Like, shit. I'm getting pre recording. I'm like, I could take a nap right now. But no, it's just the energy. It's the times that we're in. And we're in eclipse season where there's three right on top of each other. And that shit energetically it's doing its thing.
It's a lot, guys.
Mm.
Stay hydrated.
Oh my
But
god. I'm on like number 3 mason jar since I got home today because I'm like, damn, I'm not getting enough. Like, I feel like I just need more water.
I have
But
not been drinking enough water, I'll tell you that. I really haven't.
yeah,
And I'm like, stay hydrated. Yeah.
right.
Take my
No, this week
advice.
I've been lacking. I think that's why tonight my body's like, please just chug it, girl. So
Chug it. All right, let's do this meditation because I really feel
I feel
like
really
this
happy
can
and
be
excited about this
helpful.
episode and this
Me
meditation,
too.
actually. It's good, and
I'm
it's a good
glad.
one. So when everybody's ready, we can close our eyes. We're just going to get comfortable and take in a nice few deep breaths as we relax our body. Begin to notice your breath, air moving in, air moving out. With each question and breath, allow any imagery, words, or thought to arise without judgment and know what is true in your heart. Take a nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, ask yourself, who am I? Take a nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, ask yourself, what do I want? Take a nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, ask yourself, what is my purpose? Take another nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, open the door to the abundance mindset, and ask yourself, what am I grateful for? Rest here for 3 nice deep breaths. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry the truth of your inner self. That was really peaceful. Like, even though you're
Right?
asking yourself to do some work there, like, that was really, um, that was nice. And I don't know if I was like, because you shared with me your answers that you received earlier, and I don't know if I was just like projecting your answers on myself, but I feel like a lot of correlation with that. But honestly, we have a lot of center core similarities,
Yeah.
anyways. So it's like freedom,
I
peace,
feel
purpose. Like all the things. Like yeah, duh, that
I feel
matches.
like if even if I didn't share that with you, we would have had a resonance there.
Yeah,
Talk about telepathy, like
yeah.
there's because like you said, we're on a core level, feel a lot of the same ways. But I want to make sure I say that I came across this meditation from Deepak Chopra. I think it was on an interview with Jimmy Fallon. I could be wrong, but I came across it today. And I wanted to say that's where I got it from. So it really like set a tone for my day today, and I thought it was perfect for this episode because this is essentially the essence of you know who we are in
Identity.
this moment.
Yeah.
Identity, like how are you, who are you when you ask yourself what do you want and what is your purpose and what are
Mm-hmm.
you actually grateful for.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think that too is a lot of core questions that we probably ask ourselves on the regular, and we never pause to receive the answers because we always feel like we have to find the answers. But sometimes stillness teaches us to just not work for it, but just to be still and receive. So that's the beautiful thing about slowing down, taking the breaths, and if you have to work for it, think of breathing in and out as work for it, whatever. But it's okay to
yeah,
just receive sometimes.
power the pause, baby.
Power of the pause. Well, with that, this is episode 13, topic of air.
Yes.
Third time we've had the topic of air. Next week we're moving into episode 14, chapter 3, episode 14, Earth. And what's our topic, Ruby?
Insecurity.
Oh, I'm so scared. No, just kidding.
Oh my
I've never felt
god.
insecure. I don't know what you're talking about. Something we can probably all identify with in some point in our
Yeah.
lives. So
Yeah.
I look forward to
No,
that
it'll be
one.
good. Like
Mm-hmm.
we said, this chapter is about some deeper topics, stuff that we don't always like to talk about, but we're gonna touch on it. So insecurity, here we come.
Yeah, we are taking you head on.
Taking your head on, baby. So we'll see you next week, Sunday. We'll drop it on Sunday, don't you worry.
Even if we forget
uh,
sometimes.
yeah, even if we
we're only
forget.
we're only human. We're only
We're
human.
only human, guys. We're just glad that we're making it this far and you're here for the ride. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
you know, thank you. We will see you next week. We are very excited and we'll see you soon.
Bye everybody.
Bye.